board member of the Springboard Foundation, CEO of Trust Consult, Charles Mensah.
And the understanding of money should be our focus to see. No emotions. You have to understand the money. You have to understand when you are earning. You have to understand when you are spending. You have to understand where you are saving. You have to understand where you are investing.
Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. My name is Albert Okran. Welcome you to Ghana's foremost developmental program and that place where the greatest minds in the world converge. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with MTN Ghana, the Enterprise Group, and the Ghana Growth Program, a collaboration between Mastercard Foundation and Springboard. Our media partners, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy News Television, Graphic Communication Group, and the Springboard channel on YouTube. We continue our conversations about starting the year right. We call it Spring Right, just helping you to lay a good foundation for this brand new year. Today we settle on that topic that we all love to talk about and somehow never seem to be prepared enough for: the subject of money. Money matters, financial literacy, and how it can lay a good foundation for this year. Charles,
Thank you very much for having me.
good to see you.
Thank you.
How's the year rolling out?
We just started. Hopefully, it's looking well.
Right.
And we'll close well.
When you look in the crystal ball, what do you see for the year 2026?
I see growth on our side. And I see growth because in the first 2 weeks, the inquiries that are coming through from different sectors, very bright, basically very bright. I'm sure that after our capacity building for my team, I'm sure we can make a very wave in especially the West African countries.
On the national front, do you see the signals looking upwards?
Yes, and yes, but it's also the risk bit of, because our growth has really been dependent on the commodity market, i.e. the gold, the cocoa, and things like that. And those are very high risk things. So a little bit shake up, we see us fumbling. And if we're able to diversify properly, especially the agriculture side, especially the agro-processing side, then any blip there will not affect us too much.
It's been the clarion call for us here at Ghana Growth for the past 3 years, helping young people to look favorably.
Oh, yes.
In those sectors. And we've been doing this together, and it's looking very much, it's looking upwards in that area. The response, the embrace by young people is quite heartwarming. But let's settle on money.
Right.
For any listener, viewer, anyone looking at starting the year right in the area of money, what should be their first area of concern? Should it be the mindset change? Should it be the budget? Where should they start from?
I think the first point is understanding money. Because when you understand money, then you'll be able to earn it properly. Then you know when to spend. Then you know what to save. And hopefully where to invest. And possibly the last thing, how to protect what you have. So understanding the money should be our focus this year. The first thing, because everybody says, I need money. Do you understand money itself?
Help us understand a bit the foundation.
So basically, yes, money goes around, money comes around, money leaves. But when you understand it, first and foremost, it would help. First point is that the processes that you go through to earn the money, is it sustainable? And when it comes and you spend, is it something that you are spending on that would bring the money back again? Or something that you are spending on that the money will never come back again? So that understanding, and then also, would it be enough? Because when you look at the earnings, would it be enough? Some persons would probably look at the expenditure first or the spending first before they rope it in to the earnings. Others will look at the earnings first before they look at the expenditure. So some will say that you have to spend what you have. You can't spend what you don't have. What you have could be something you've earned or something you've borrowed. So yeah, something is in your hand, but it could be something that you have borrowed. It's in your hand or it's borrowed. So you can spend what you have, but what is the sources of what you have? Is this earnings? Yes. If it's earnings, how regular is the earnings? Is it one-off? Yes. If it's one-off, how do you make it regular? So that is the process of understanding money, because it's the questions that you have to ask yourself, the answers that you get out of that questions, then you move and move and move.
So would it be a considered opinion that in the month of January, everyone that is trying to sort out their financial life should sit down and ask a number of critical questions?
Correct. If you haven't done that, I mean, usually I'll ask people to do it maybe 2-3 days before Christmas to go through that. But if you haven't done that, it's not too late to lock yourself up, go into the room. The first thing is to ask yourself hard questions. You could start off by asking whether last year, how did you do in terms of your financials? How did you end the year? Did you end the year owing people? Did you end the year having some balances in your account? And that would be a starting point. Because if you ended the year with some huge debt, it means that whatever you're doing this year, you must be enough to survive on and then to service the debt. That's one. And then what are you going to do this year? Is it the regular thing where you have this Nyamembe attitude, you make a move, or you just stay in the room? Then there's going to be a problem. The capacity you have now, out of which you earned something last year, are you using the same capacity, or did you underutilize it to the point where maybe that capacity needs to be enhanced so that you can earn more in the coming days, in the coming months? This is where you're going to ask yourself questions. Most of the time, then have a pen and paper, because I like pen and paper, writing things down. Most of the time, we feel that we can remember everything. So in that room of yours, where you're asking all those questions, as the answers are coming, please write them down.
I'll tell you what you're saying is actually supported by the Bible. Luke 14:28. If you can push on to verse 30, it says, which of you, intending to build a tower, will not first sit down and consider whether you have enough to build it, lest you start and do not finish, and those who observe you say, this man began to build and was not able to finish. This is exactly Jesus Christ himself. Christ himself says, sit down, write it, calculate, and estimate. And it sounds almost like previewing what we live in our world today.
Yeah. Because, Rev, if people don't write things down, because you can't recall everything, I ask you a simple question. Ask yourself this as you're watching us. How much did you spend yesterday? Do you know? Don't make a guesswork. Can you give us the exact expenditure or the exact expenses that you incurred yesterday? Just yesterday. You notice that you'll be fumbling. But where you write things down, you probably will take it and look at it. Yesterday morning, first thing in the morning, I sent some momo to a friend who I haven't interacted with in the last few years. So I sent the money to him. Then maybe as I was leaving, my car was crashed. I gave money. So by the time you list all these things, it gives you a ballpark figure.
What will that list do for you?
It tells you your habit. It tells you your expenditure habit. Because sometimes...
Is it possible the list will surprise you?
Surprise?
Is it possible that going through the list, you'll be surprised at
how much? Of course, it will surprise you, but it will tell you that you are not playing according to the book. You are just using emotions. You are just out of the blue. But you can only do out of the blue if you yourself have income that are coming from multiple sources and things like that. But even if that, you have to be able to write it down and make sure. Because you see, by writing it down, by looking at your expenditure for yesterday, for instance, you can give yourself an advice. You can only spend because it's in your pocket. You can only spend because it's on the Momo account. But what if you decide that nothing will be on the Momo account?
Or manage how much goes there.
Or manage how much goes there. Or manage how much is in your pocket. Maybe you are a person where whatever you put in your pocket, by the time you get home, it's finished. So now you can reduce it. Or you're a person that you spend money when it's no Momo. You can ask the Momo people to reduce, to manage you. So my limit this year, my limit today is maybe 100 cities, 200 cities. You can arrange that with them. So once you spend, you can't. Some persons that I'm involved in, so I've linked my Momo account to my bank account. And I said, have some control. Because once you have it there, small time you link the thing and then put the money. But you have to have a discipline not to spend.
Let's explore one issue that I find quite fascinating.
Right.
High earning professionals, smart guys, very good jobs, and yet live from paycheck to paycheck. Is it a mindset issue? Even when they get a salary raise, they are still always broke. You look at them and you're like, Charlie, you earn quite a bit.
That reminds me, I've always said that when you have a raise in an office and the pay enters your bank account or your pocket, because you have lived the previous month on the old salary, don't touch it. Because as soon as you touch it and you give the excuse that hopefully, oh, I've worked so hard, I'm tired. Yes, they've given me a raise, and you go out spending. Trust me, with experience, you have adjusted your lifestyle that day, that month, once you get a raise. So don't touch it. Don't say, because if you touch it immediately, where you went last night, which you should have gone, but because you've been paid, you are in the mood of celebrating, or you end up eating or buying food at a place that is not your regular, you have increased or you have improved upon your lifestyle and the expenditure has gone up. There's no way. Because you may have encountered some friends at the new joint that you went, or at the new point where you went for to eat. You may have encountered some friends. So the following day, they come find you. Oh, where are you? I'm coming. That's it. So wherever it is, if you receive a raise, 10%, 15%, leave it there. Because without a raise, you are already leaving. And allow that raise to be somewhere. Because trust me, there's an expenditure in the pipeline coming. And that's what I keep on preaching, that anytime you receive a windfall out of the blue money,
it could be a bonus, it could be a gift.
it could be whatever it is, there is some expenditure coming. Maybe people haven't observed, but anytime somebody dashes you money, in 15 minutes, you get a call for somebody needing money. This is what I have observed. And you might think that, hey, so if I didn't receive this money, no. It's how nature works. You are a medium. You have received the money out of nowhere. Somebody is coming to take some. So because of that, you must make sure that when there's a raise at work, salary, when there's a gift at work, please leave it in an account called windfall account, which is not your normal account. Leave it there. If you come big, then you can look at how you are going to invest it.
Let's talk about investment. Let's talk about where you can put the money that you are taking away from your regular expense viewpoint, where you can see it and spend it. Where should you move it?
You see, you are moving it because you don't have to have immediate access to it. So you are moving into an area where you are increasing your level of comfort tomorrow. And as opposed to borrowing is you are denying tomorrow. But this one, you are enhancing tomorrow. And therefore, when you move it, you are moving into a place where one day you would need it. My first recommendation is always to put it in your savings account. When it becomes a bit bulky, you can buy a fixed deposit from the bank that you save, or buy the 90-day treasury bills. Very comfortable. Don't invest yet because you just started. Now, when you save continuously for a year or getting 2 years, then you want to be able to invest in something that you are comfortable, something that it's a bit risk-free, or somewhere that there's a specialist managing it, so that tomorrow when you need the money, there will not be any surprises. So when it gets there, you have to take your time and speak to experts. This is where sometimes you can receive a phone call from a friend who desperately have a business proposal, and because he's heard that you've made some money, he's coming to come invest in my business. Take your time. So in that investment era, before you go to investment, you must do a little bit of background checks on the areas you want to go to, the areas you feel comfortable in, the areas that tomorrow when you want to back out, it's easy to exit.
You keep talking about comfortable. Would it be the case that the levels of risk of individuals vary, and each one should plow based on their risk level or aversion?
A combination of things. I mean, at my age, couple of 2 years now, I'll be 60 years. There's no way I'm going to invest in giddy business. I probably want to invest in an area where I can get my regular returns quarterly. So I'll probably do fixed deposit or treasury bills. I'm not going to invest in a startup company at my age, because maybe I won't get time to monitor. However, 20 years ago, I would invest. I did invest. 20 years ago, I went into piggery. 20 years ago, I went into maize farming. So yes, I had the strength to monitor, to track. But as you climb the ladder in terms of age, then you have to be able to take off your health and then your capacity to monitor, because you can't invest in places that you cannot have the capacity to monitor. So because you don't have a capacity to monitor, then go into the comfort zone by buying treasury bills or fixed deposit. Those are for the expert to run. But if you are ready, then speak to experts, let them guide you and ask the hard questions. What if? What if? If you are comfortable with the answers you get from the what if, then I encourage you to do it.
Have these answers changed based on recent developments in the financial space?
Yes.
Let's talk about it. I'm sure our listeners and viewers are watching us to see whether we will talk about the implications of recent developments and how it should guide people in making individual decisions.
I think in the past, people went beyond the treasury bills. I used to be a champion of some of these investments. So people were putting money in the bonds, in other products. But because of the crisis that the country went through, where expectations of returns didn't happen the way it's supposed to be. So, and people were dependent on the returns for their medical, for their school fees, and children upkeep. So it begs the question that, okay, should I rush to go into some long term? Now, because of that, I encourage people to do treasury bill 90-day rollover. 90-day rollover. So your money is still there, but you are getting the returns, because nobody suffered in the treasury bill 90-day rollover when there was a crisis. Nobody did. But those in the long picture really suffered, because they wanted stability. They wanted regular thing to come through. And therefore they went for a 5-year, a 10-year, a 7-year, and those things. So if you did for 5 years, then you're getting the returns. But when the financial crisis happened, it will happen. So it defied all the logic that we have been preaching, because in your risk premium and the risk-free calculation to determine how much interest is based on the base calculation, which is the treasury rate or the government rate. defies the logic and all those ones. And therefore, go into the comfort zone at that side. Then you can begin to say, okay, now I want to invest proper. Maybe instead of investing through government instrument, you want to invest direct. Quick areas that I've seen people going through is buying service plots. Quick area that I've seen people going to is going into the real estate market. Not own it, but to be part of that. So you notice that people would own it through mortgage systems, and then they will also rent it out for short-term basis. So as they're earning income from there, they are servicing their mortgage. And if there's a net, they will make do with the net. If there's no net, they are comfortable with it. So that's
one day they'll fully own it.
Correct.
This is Springboard Virtual University, and the most amazing thing that my brother Charles Mensah is saying is that as a result of the recent developments, the message has been modified to reflect the reality of our time. So we'll call that one the Old Testament. When we come back from this break, we'll go into the New Testament of financial literacy. When all is said and done, are there non-negotiables that one, no matter what you say, it does not change? Let's begin to break them down so we can be sure that we are starting this year on such a sure footing that by December, we'll look back and say, whoa, it's been an amazing year. This is Springboard Virtual University, the spring right edition of the year, helping us to just understand how to manage money in a brand new year, especially. This is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with MTN Ghana, the Enterprise Group, and the Ghana Grows Program, which is itself a partnership between Springboard and the MasterCard Foundation. Want to salute our media partners, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy News Television, Daily Graphic, and the Springboard channel on YouTube. Catch a breath a little. When we come back from this break, let's begin to lay the blocks that are non-negotiable as we build a strong financial base for the brand new year. Please don't go away.
Going to the library. Going to the library.
Okay. I'm going for my graduation. Go well.
Education changes stories, and being part of these stories is the real passion for us. MTN.
No stress. Submit your insurance claim online in just seconds on the Claims Express portal. Simply upload your national ID, cost estimates, pictures, and more to get started. Submit online, track progress, and get paid fast. Skip the paperwork and get back on the road with ease. Visit claimexpress.enterprisegroup.net.gh for easy claims and quick payouts with absolutely no stress.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Learn something new every week and be inspired by innovations, impact, and success stories of individuals making strides in the agricultural, agribusiness, technical, and vocational skill sectors on Ghana Grows Ejuma with Araba Kumsin and Yabitha. Join us this and every Thursday on Facebook at 7 p.m. at Ghana Grows, also at Comfort Okran A and at Albert N.E. Okran. On Fridays at 4 p.m. on Joy 99.7 FM and on Sundays at 5:45 p.m. on TV3. Ghana Grows is an initiative of MasterCard Foundation in partnership with the Springboard Roadshow Foundation. If you are a young person and you want to be a part of our various interventions, call or WhatsApp Ghana Grows call center on 0308 255 775. Follow us on all our social media handles. Ghana Grows Ejuma. Hope Day.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, and to this conversation about money. getting your financial base right for the brand new year. My guest, Charles Mensah, CEO, Trust Consultant, a board member of the Springboard Roadshow Foundation. He's such a regular here that he can sit in this chair. Charles is big here.
No.
His family here.
Yeah.
But before we get back to our conversation about how to start the year right in the area of your money, let me just remind you, this is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation, our partners, the Enterprise Group, MTN Ghana, and the Ghana Growth Program, a partnership between Mastercard Foundation and Springboard. Saluting our media partners, Joy FM, Joy News Television, Graphic Communications Group, and the Springboard channel on YouTube. Talking about enterprise, let me give you one tip for the week, and that is how to access your EPP account. So this is your pension plan account. If you have a pension plan account, how do you access it? You can access your account anytime using the USSD code *714 *333#. The Enterprise Advantage app, or by visiting our website and selecting member login under the customer service tab. So if you want to access your EPP fund, this is how to go about it. And this tip is brought to you by the Enterprise Group. The number to call them 030-263-4704. Email info.trustees@myenterprisegroup.io. Enterprise, your advantage. Also to mention that if you want to find out anything about the Ghana Growth Program or opportunities for young people in the areas of agriculture, agribusiness, and ATVET, this number must be on your phone at all times. You can call, you can WhatsApp 030-8255-775. 030-8255-775. Also to give a little boost to a Ghanaian-owned company in the sectors that we are promoting. Randomly, Charles, we select one every week and then just mention what they do and their numbers so people can buy from them. And some of the testimonies we are getting are just amazing. The person says, I was just there, people started calling and buying, and this month my sales are shot up. And we get so excited. We still get very excited, though. We've done this for over a year and about 2 years, and still it happens every single week. So today we are talking about NAS collections, and they make original Ghana-made shoes and sandals, and you want to call them on 050-138-1254, and you will get quality, classy, affordable Ghana-made shoes and sandals. Call them and give them a surprise and make their day and also make their business. Buy Ghana-made and you are promoting the Ghanaian economy. Charles.
Yes.
Before the break, we're talking about the fact that we are ourselves and others on a crusade to help young people, to help people who want to move their lives forward, to make a good decision and to enjoy a better life. And sometimes circumstances make us revisit our message and modify it to help the people who we are supporting to get a better understanding and make better decisions. I called one the Old Testament and I called one the New Testament. Is that a good description of the situation that we described?
Not really. You can say that, but you see, there was an angle that maybe during our crusade we should have added. What if something happens globally? What impact would it have on what we are doing now? You probably would recall that we had this COVID thing. It disrupted everything. And it created also an opportunity. Create an opportunity for those in the IT market, those in the logistics market. Because first, there was a movement of persons. Now there's a movement using data. So you notice that companies in the technology side made money, whilst company in the physical activities that lost money. The gymnasium and things all lost money. So now people are watching at home and then exercising. So whatever it is that we are preaching, now we must add, what if something happens? So that you probably will read, because if we were reading the signs and this is happening, this is the impact, they would have taken steps much ahead of time. because maybe I put my money somewhere UK, somewhere Mauritius, but there's a war next door, or there's a outbreak of sickness next door. The likelihood of me pulling my money back will be difficult because there's a war next door. So immediately you start reading the initial rhetorics about the war, then you make steps to pull it.
So generally, you're saying that in our economics class, the ceteris paribus, all things being equal, should be a part of every such conversation.
Yeah, it should be.
All right.
I was telling Lord, my sibling, that listen, come to think of it, anytime there's war, there are some people are smiling because their company and factories, they make bullets, ammunitions, drugs. If there's no war, who's going to buy?
I'm sure even uniforms.
Uniforms, everything.
Logistics. Actually, when you said COVID made some people richer and others poorer, the first time I heard somebody say the COVID era was the best time of my life, I said, don't say it too loud. I could tell it was true, but it was a culture shock for me.
Yeah, everywhere.
Because the person was right. And it just struck me that every crisis creates opportunity and advantage for somebody, and also a disruption for another person. Yeah. Charles, let's stay with the untouchables. All the factors that we have described aside, what are the non-negotiables of crafting a pathway to financial independence? Let's start with a budgeting framework. Some will talk about 70, 20, 10. Some will say 50, 20, 30. Is any framework of that nature a helpful guide in financial planning?
I think, yes. I think first is to record a pattern of your own personal expenditure. If you are single and working, either for yourself or for some agency, also from some company, you must look at your own individual expenditure pattern by writing them down. It gives you something to start with. Typically, as a young person, you were previously living with your parents where you're not paying electricity, where you're not paying water.
Please don't let me laugh. One of my sons moved out his own place and he says, oh, it's a nice experience, but Charlie,
the bills,
bill, and the rubbish. I say,
so those are the notional costs. Because you're not paying, if you're not careful when you move out, like you just described, by calculating your expenditure, you probably lose sight of this, of that expenditure that somebody was picking up on your behalf. So the first thing is that once you are consuming something, put a price on it.
Like getting a lift every day.
Put a price on it. Whatever it is, mommy leaving food on the table, put a price on it. It gives you averagely how much you cost yourself. Then you go to the next level of the earnings. Because once you know the cost, you can build upon that. If the earnings are pretty much low compared to your expenditure, you have two options. Either you pick up a new skill or you prune down on the expenditure.
Or both.
Or both. But pruning down on the expenditure, it depends on the stage in life.
Which is more difficult?
I think it's the expenditure side. Because if really critically, there are some things that you cannot cut. When you cut too much, you see blood. Because there's no food, you're going to keep yourself hungry. You will collapse on your way to work. Because there's no money, you are saying that you eat once a day. Not that you are doing spiritual fasting to uplift your spirit.
Which is a good thing to do.
Yeah. So that one, we know that this is what you are doing consciously. But where you are not eating because you don't have the money, and therefore you decided to eat once a day, you have to be checked few things, how healthy you are to embark on that course. And that's why I say you can't cut everything. So my advice basically is that once you know the expenditure pattern, and that's something that you cannot do anything about it, like your kids' school fees, you cannot do anything about it.
So some will argue that, listen, and that is one thing that, Charles, you will agree that many people push themselves way beyond where they should be pushing themselves. You've gone to take a very expensive Montessori school because that is the one that they see they do well. Who's the council? Then you are making calls, you are borrowing money. In the end, the level at which you've pushed yourself is way beyond. So one will say, why don't you go for a more reasonably priced education and augment it with personally supporting the child and supervising their homework and everything? They will do well too.
It's not expensive. It's the capacity side more than anything else. Because if you are taking your child to a most expensive school, I like it. It's good for you. Can you sustain it? Is the first question. Can we sustain it? So if you cannot sustain it, don't start. Because as soon as the kid goes to the school, he gets used to the school, he builds new friendship, and it's difficult to pull out. So sustainability should be your defining moment when you're taking such decisions. Sustainability in terms of work. So if you ask yourself 7 years of the child going to that school and things, can we sustain it? Are there something that we can do? Are there trade that we can involve in? So it's a questions that you have, but this is where pressure is put on a spouse. Then he says, oh, okay, I'll look at it. When he comes back, he's not even discussing with the spouse that, look, it's difficult, we can't. But out of keeping up appearances, he says, okay. He spoke to a friend, he said, you arrange the admission fee and all those ones, so we can start. Nyamibeye balance. What can you do? Because else, it becomes very embarrassing that you cannot sustain it. I prefer that you do something that you are comfortable. Then occasionally, you throw in the cakes, the ice creams here and there. With no time, you will see that you get somewhere. But if you keep appearances because your friends that you work with are telling you that we should go here, and you feel that you are being left out, you miss the boat big time. Because that friend of yours probably has inherited a savings that was built by his father. Or they have the family properties that they rent out, that you are benefiting. They are benefiting. But they are not disclosing their sources to you.
Or just some royalty income that they...
Correct.
Something, the money is coming...
The money is coming regularly.
Yeah.
Regularly. Because I have friends whose parents way back had schools, both in Kaswa, Atiko Junction, Shama, and other things. We were all playing together. But I didn't know they were earning. At a point in time when they stopped the school, they rented it out to some hostel and things like that. And they are still earning income out of this. So if you don't know you are playing with the person and he decides to travel, and you think you want to travel, you have a problem.
Let's talk a bit more about royalty income, the principle of royalty income, income that is coming, whether you are there or not. Is this something that we should be exploring?
Yes, you can explore, because it has some risk associated with it. Yes, you have the regular income coming through, but it's coming from where? Whoever is paying it, at the point in time, there will be fatigue, and maybe they pull out. If it's a natural resources,
let's investing in an Uber, you mentioned earlier on real estate where you mortgage it and you rent it out. So it's income that is coming. You are not necessarily there every day as a day-to-day job, but it's a side job.
If I use the accommodation thing as a typical example, friends that invested in it through the advice that I gave lost out big time when there was a COVID. Because we were doing the Airbnb. And around that time, they lost out almost 2 years.
Yeah.
It was difficult to service the debt. But the bank lend you money on time, not on activities.
Yeah.
You have to go and conduct activities to service the time-based monthly expenditure. People were not coming. So there were no activities in those properties. Then you have to go and renegotiate, reschedule, and things like that. So yes, everybody liked comfortability, but the word is sustainability. So if you're going to do it, you must do an element of protection. This protection I'm referring to insurance. So there must be a protection at the end of the game, because this investment income, which we are loosely using as royalties, is coming on regular basis. There must be protection. What if this thing happen? How would I service the debt? How would I get this? Speak to the insurance company. They are expecting it. They will speak to you and structure something for you so that you have the protection.
And the idea is that you shouldn't fall from this place
Yes.
down to ground zero.
Yes.
Let's talk about disruptions, not disruptions, but significant change in your life status. I'll give you 3 examples.
Okay.
1, you get married. Suddenly you have a family, children. You've been single for a while. It changes the dynamic completely.
Right.
Number 2, a person loses their job.
Yeah.
Number 3, a person gets unwell, physically incapacitated. I don't want to go into retirement. That's a whole conversation. But let's stay with the first 3. Get married, lose your job, physically incapacitated. These 3 would have major implications for cost, healthcare cost, or even ability to earn. Let's talk about such situations.
Let's start with first principle, getting married. I don't think people should marry just a conversation with 1 or 2 persons the following morning you're going to marry.
Yeah.
It should be
Planned.
readiness. You should be ready. You should be ready. Ready in terms of the cost of the function is just one-off. The cost of the function where people will come and we are announcing to the world that we are married and legally and by church and all those ones. That's one-off. The real marriage starts after that, where every day you are spending money. So you must ask yourself before you go into marriage. Here it is that I am earning something. What does my spouse do? Don't do any bravado thing that your spouse doesn't work, so you manage. Your spouse must do something to add. Because else, what if something happens? Which brings me to the second one. What if you fall sick? How would you sustain that lovely weekend travel with the family? How you go out and all those things? How would you sustain it? So spouses must sit down and do something. Nobody should be defined as house husband or house wife. Those are done temporarily. If the woman gets pregnant and he needs some few moments to stay at home, that's different altogether. But don't do it permanent, because it would help you. You have a clear focus because you are earning something and she's earning something. I'm not going to preach about the joint account. Maybe another time we'll look at that. But the real deal is that have that conversation. Don't tell the spouse that, don't worry, I'm going to town, I'll solve it. You are not bringing him or her into the reality there. You are just making yourself look good in the eyes of her. That's what she wants. She's married to you. She wants to know what, money-wise, what really is happening out there. So the more you keep information financially from her or him, the worse you would have.
So
I don't know whether you read a joke that the guy was asked to pay rent, and he's been paying the deposit every year. Sometimes he goes to borrow, he cries. It turns out that the house that we're renting is for the wife. He always died. And because they were not having a conversation.
Yes.
If they were having a conversation, I'm sure he would have known. So it's a conversation, financial conversation, I mean. That if you're having that conversation, there we go. Even kids coming into play. Look, once you get married, thank God, maybe you have kids coming through. All this has to be planned. And you have to save towards it. Once you have kids, you know that but definitely they'll grow, they'll go to school. So sometimes people behave as if it was there, then the thing came. So
Do we use emotional considerations to make decisions that must have a financial component?
that's why I said that the understanding of money should be our focus this year. No emotions. You have to understand the money. You have to understand when you are earning. You have to understand when you are spending. You have to understand where you are saving. You have to understand where you are investing. So when you understand the first principle, no emotions are applied. We are doing it because we have to do it. We're not doing it to satisfy anybody emotionally, but we are doing it because that's the right thing to do at this time of the moment. Not because this and this and that. I met a young couple thinking to get married. The first night I told them that, look, first principle, I got married pretty early when I was 27. But the thing I did was that I didn't do anything apart from going to Register General to register. So there were 8, 4, 4. Yeah, Ghana, yeah, Register General.
Yeah.
This is 94. We just signed it. Then the following Sunday, went to church.
And blessed it.
And then blessed it.
And so Biako.
So I said that, and I was 27 then, and my wife was 25. And I was a young man who had returned from England and with a big picture. But I was asking myself, so if I do all these things, what am I going to start life with? Because I was going to rent. If I had rented a house, 3-bedroom house, got myself a car, and going to start life, why would I spend all these things? And she understood it from day one.
I guess that's a part that if it wasn't just a financial conversation, but it's really a financial issue.
Yeah,
that you should marry somebody who understands the philosophy of
yes. Thereafter,
there are some extreme people who one is a budgeting person, very well reasoned. The other one is a fancy person, and it could be any gender. The other person just loves to spend.
It's a conversation.
Yes.
But thereafter, look, at the point in time, I was very, very comfortable. So, kids party, I do it. Kids traveling, I do it. But I didn't start with it.
But it's just the humility to know that there are stages in life.
Correct.
I can't leave this show without talking about those who are owing. Those who, I'm not talking about now going to borrow. They've borrowed themselves into a position and they are trying to balance their lives. Let's get a couple of tips for them.
Okay, so if you're all over the place, I think first thing is to take a paper and pen again and list them. When I listen them, don't list only those who are pestering you. List everybody that you owe and categorize it. So there are some that it's not a regular repayment. There are some that they are one-off payment. So there's a food joint at your offices. So you always eat there and you give the woman that I'll pay end of the week and all those things. So please start with her first. Because if she denies you food, that is you are gone. So you put name there. Then electricity, every other expenditure. Be bold and write them down. And then look at the amount involved. And then look at the frequency. So if it's one-off, you put one-off. If it's weekly, you put weekly. When you finish, then total the weekly one, the monthly one, and the one-off one. So it gives you a ballpark of something that has to be happen immediately, and it gives you a ballpark something that has to happen weekly, and the rest. Then you go to how you're going to service it, which is your earnings. So you look at your earnings, what is happening. If you know that nothing is happening in terms of the earnings, it won't reach, go back and negotiate. Look, nobody is that wicked that if he understands your predicament, he'll say, get out of here, give me my money. No. I think when you go ahead of time and explain yourself properly. That, look, I've done the numbers. I'm not sure I can service it
So
this
the
month.
borrower must always move first.
Correct.
And not the lender.
Yes. Because
So
when the lender moves,
your options are reduced.
thank you. You got it right. Because you're owing the person. Be humble, call, go to him. Oh, I came here this morning to explain that end of January, I can't pay. It's difficult for us as a family. So I can look at first week in March. That's where we'll have the level of comfort around that time. Then that's it. Now, because the borrower or the lender was expecting you to service, but you've gone ahead to plead, he will also make some adjustment
In expectations.
in his expectations, including looking for alternative to fill the gap that you have created for him. That's all. But where you don't inform him, and it gets to the time that he's expecting, then you are giving him headache to now go and make some adjustment, which will be inconvenient. So please go ahead of time. Call them, send a text, go there, be humble, and then discuss. When you're going, like my friend would say, go with Uber. Don't go with your fancy car.
Yes, yes, yes. Don't come and land with some posh car. You're coming to negotiate.
Yeah.
I'm sure even if the person is sitting with somebody, the person will say, "Who is that? The person coming to ask you?" Let's wrap up with a closing tip for anyone that says, you know what, in my previous years I could have done better with my finances, but this year I'm very determined to get it right. What should they do first? What should they do second? What should they do third?
So first and foremost, you determine what you want to achieve this year. That must be the financial. What do you want to? Maybe you want to have a balanced budget in terms of you're not owing anybody. Or you want to do a situation where end of the year, by end of the year, you made a deposit for a building, a house, or made an investment. Or maybe by end of the year, you have gotten married. So you must have that thing there. Then you come to the numbers itself. Please have your weekly budget. That's my thing. Have a weekly budget. It can be on your phone, or it can be paper writing it. Use blue pen and red pen. Anytime money is going, use the red pen. Anytime money is coming in, use the blue pen. Ensure that you don't do too much of red pen. Else, blood, you will lose life. And that's key.
What an apt description. So the market for blue pens has always been there, but the market for red pens will also go up, because in this brand new year, Charles Mensah is saying get 2 pens, blue and red. And if you have an iPad, get blue ink, red ink on the iPad, whatever it is, get a blue and a red. One showing money coming in and one showing money going out, and make sure that what is going out does not overpower what is coming in. Once you can do that, you can achieve your financial objectives for the brand new year. Charles Mensah, as always,
thank you for having me, Rev.
It's a blessing, my brother. Let's do this again.
Thank you.
Well, this has been Spring Right, one of our foundational conversations to start the year right. And the whole idea is to give you some financial footing to have a good year. We've explored different themes and tried to help us understand the various issues that sometimes seem to spring from nowhere and disrupt our year. But really, if we sat down to look, we could have prepared well enough to have a better start and a better grasp of them. Charles has been giving us insight into how we can do better in our finances this year. He's the CEO of Trust Consult and a member of the board here at Springboard Roadshow Foundation. This whole conversation is part of your virtual university, brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with the Enterprise Group, MTN Ghana, and the Ghana Growth Program, a collaboration between Mastercard Foundation and Springboard. Our media partners, thank you to Joy 99.7 FM, Joy News Television, and Daily Graphic, and of course, the Springboard channel on YouTube. My name, Albert Okran, saying God bless you, and God bless you.